It is 8:05 and a battle is unfolding in New Jersey over the classification of workers. Business groups, gig workers, and freelancers are pushing back against proposed regulations from the state's Department of Labor that could reshape who qualifies as an independent contractor. Especially since the pandemic, there are thousands of people who've taken up side hustles as independent contractors. Well, the rules may change. The rules are centered on what's called the ABC test. They aim to determine whether workers are entitled to benefits like unemployment and family leave, or if they can remain independent contractors with the flexibility many say they value. The problem is, remember, what you are and how you are perceived is changed. That could also impact you in terms of liability and taxes and things like that. The Murphy administration argues the changes protect workers, but critics, including freelance writer and co-founder of Fight for Freelancers, Kim Kavin, call it an attack on the freedom of independent work. Joins us now. Good morning to you. Good to have you on.
Good morning, Ken. Nice to see you this morning.
You bet. Now, you've called these proposed regulations more of the same in a campaign to restrict independent contracting. You've been fighting this for a while. What do you mean by that, and why do you believe that these changes really threaten freelancers and gig workers?
Well, what happened here started actually about a half a dozen years ago in California, where they passed a law called Assembly Bill 5 that they said out there would help all kinds of workers. But what it actually did is it hurt independent contractors in more than 600 professions that have been identified so far. So when the state of New Jersey tried to copy that law back in 2019, a lot of us went to the State House. It was a standing room only public hearing that went on for more than 4 hours straight. And we all stood shoulder to shoulder. It was nonpartisan. People who had voted for everybody from Bernie Sanders to Donald Trump stood together and told the state of New Jersey no. And our legislators very wisely listened to us then. And since then, the battle has moved to the federal level, where they've been trying to impose this kind of thing on the whole country through Congress and the US Labor Department. We've been fighting them there left and right. I've been to Capitol Hill to testify 3 times now about why this is so wrong. And as we are in the midst of trying to get things under control in Washington, here comes the New Jersey Department of Labor with regulatory rulemaking, where they're saying, let's try it yet another way. So we just had another public hearing in Trenton. This time it went on for more than 3 hours, standing room only again, in a heat wave, 3-1 opposition. Again, all kinds of people from all kinds of walks of life telling the state, stop what you're doing. This is wrong. The problem is they want to reclassify a lot of us right out of work. The end result of these kinds of policies, which I call freelance busting, is that they say we're going to be reclassified as employees. They say companies that we've all worked with as consultants, as freelancers, as gig workers, as contractors, whatever you want to call yourself, they say we're all going to be converted to employees, but that's not what happens. What they have documented actually happens in California is this reduces self-employment, it reduces W-2 employment, and it reduces overall employment. It's a job killer. It's just bad policy, and we want this New Jersey Labor Department proposal rescinded.
Does it impact people also in terms of taxes and insurance and things? I mean, because I am technically just that. I'm a gig worker. I'm an independent contractor, and I want it that way. I'm happy that way. I want to be able to say, nah, I can't work on Tuesday. Yeah, I can work on Thursday. I have that right to do that right now, but I'm technically classified as an employee. I don't have that right to do that. So,
That's exactly right. Yeah.
yeah.
And
So
it's why
how does
80% of independent contractors say we prefer this way of working. There's no outcry among independent contractors asking for this. It's not coming from us. It's coming from people who want to make us employees so that we will fall into the category of being able to be unionized. That's what's happening.
Interesting. And will it impact like taxes? Because as an independent contractor, we pay a certain rate. And then and of course we get deductions and things like that because we have an expense of doing business as an independent contractor, I'm an LLC. So, but yet if you become an employee, now you're subject to whatever income tax you'd have to pay, right? So that's a whole different thing. And Something tells me the lawmakers see dollar signs at the end of this.
There is a lot of that. And I'll tell you, it's not just us that it impacts in the pocketbook. 77% of the truckers who move everything, all kinds of goods at the port of New York and New Jersey are owner operator truckers. This is going to affect the supply chain. There was testimony at the public hearing that it will cripple the port of New York and New Jersey. They were talking about empty store shelves, prices going up. It's not just our pocketbooks, Ken, that's going to get hit. It's the entire region and the entire state if New Jersey's Labor Department does not rescind this rule proposal.
Unreal. And for all the people, especially younger people who jump into Ubers and Lyfts like it's nothing, I have friends who spend hundreds of dollars a week on Uber and Lyft. I don't understand where they're getting this money. But because they think they're saving money by not owning a car, they end up spending more money taking ride shares. But when it comes to rideshare drivers' vehicles, they would be considered that would be considered what, a company's place of business, right? So that changes. So you just want to make a couple of extra bucks driving Uber or Lyft. All of a sudden you're an employee of a company and that is your business and you have to maintain it a certain way. And there are all these rules and regulations, right?
There were a lot of people from those types of businesses that Uber, Lyft, all those types of companies that testified at the public hearing. This would make it impossible to maintain the way that operates right now. They were clear across the board. The testimony went on and on and on and on. And it wasn't just them. You had people like AAA testifying that this would impair roadside service because in the wintertime or even in the summertime, when cars break down, who do you think comes out and does that towing for AAA? They're not all employees. A lot of those folks are local little guys with a tow truck. Those are independent contractors. There was so much testimony about how this could hurt so many different kinds of professions. It was staggering, and it is unconscionable to me that the state is attempting this in the first place after all of the documentation of the problems in California. It is outrageous to me that given the public outcry, they're not rescinding this. And we've now had close to 20 legislators in Trenton, in the state house, senators and assembly members, Democrats and Republicans alike, coming out and sending letters and saying to the Department of Labor, whoa, 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 this seems wrong. The outcry could not be clearer that this is a bad policy decision and it needs to be rescinded.
And you helped defeat that 2019 bill too that would have altered New Jersey's so-called ABC test. So how does this proposal compare to the effort that was back in 2019? Is it basically the same thing all over again?
It's all part and parcel of this campaign that's being waged all across the country against independent contractors. This is happening everywhere, including in the halls of Congress. I just last month was sitting across from Senator Bill Cassidy, Senator Bernie Sanders, testifying in the United States Senate. This has been going on. They moved from state to state, from federal agency to federal committee. It's the same group of individuals trying to just regulate all of us out of business. That's why freelance busting is so wrong. It cannot be allowed. This is about liberty and our pursuit of happiness and our ability to work in whatever way works best for us. That's why we're raising our voices so loudly, and we're asking people to raise their voices too. There's a public comment period going on right now where you can raise your voice if you think this is wrong, and you can tell the state of New Jersey until tomorrow. Tomorrow's the deadline to file a public comment against this. You have to send an email to a guy named David Fish. His email address is david.fish@dol.nj.gov. I'll say it one more time, david.fish@dol.nj.gov. There's also a campaign that some other folks have put together with an easy to fill out form. It's at a URL called saveindependentwork.org/New Jersey, if that's easier for you to remember. Either way, you have until tomorrow to raise your voice and tell the state of New Jersey, no, this needs to be rescinded. This is horrible policy and it cannot be allowed.
Well, it's just ridiculous. And it's typical lawmakers trying to do something that they were never asked to do. It's like they look for make busy work. Just stay the hell out of our lives. I'm a very libertarian kind of guy. I want to do my thing. If I want to go in the front of my house and sell apples, get the hell out of my business. Just leave me alone, right? I'm not trying to poison people. I'm just tired of lawmakers who try to do stuff for the sake of doing stuff for the greater good. It's just BS. And there's always an ulterior motive, Kim, and it's usually money. This stinks of, oh, we'll be able to generate more revenue. And with more revenue, we could tell our voters, look what I brought you. That's what this is about. I don't care what anybody says. Maybe I'm a curmudgeon, but thank God for you, and thank God for you being on top of this, because if not for you putting up a stop sign, these folks would just run ramshot all over us. Please come back. Let us know how things turned out. Turn out with this. We need to stay on top of it. We're with you. Kim Kavin, co-founder of Fight for Freelancers. Let us know how it turns out. Again, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Ken.